Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. So we are going to be talking about junk journal tags and cards today, decorating them, but not in the way that we usually think about decorating these tags and cards. We're going to be talking about the backs, because so many times we put a lot of effort and a lot of planning into the front of our cards, and then we, tuck them in the box to await being put into a journal. But the backs are a little bit blank, and it really is nice, I think, because this is a writing surface. This is where we want to be inspired to, to write down things that are important to us, things we want to remember, things that remind us of other things. And wouldn't it be nice to have just a little bit of a carryover in the decoration to make the whole thing seem cohesive? So we're going to go through lots of examples of cards and tags today and ways that we can dress up the back in a way that will make the writing on them, which is the most important part of tag and card construction, is when we do the writing on these things ourselves. Decorating the back is going to make the whole thing just seem a little more together. So I'm going to set this aside for now, and because we're going to be getting to these very soon. Sometimes when you construct a tag, you can dress up the back just, with the initial construction. And that is by just piecing your paper. You can cobble together other pieces of plain, or at least blank, mostly blank paper that you can easily write on. But there's some visual interest there. And this carries the blue over from the front. And this, I did just in backing the tag to begin with. Here's another one out of the same piece, and just a little bit of that blue that carries the color from the front to the back. That adds a little visual interest there to the card. Here's a little altered playing card, and a way that I added some visual interest to the back, although it's a little bit messy. I decoupaged some napkins on these, and I just wrapped some of the napkin around on the back. So when I go to write these things, write down some thoughts there's going to be a little bit of color there. But what if you don't really know where to start? You have a lot of truly blank card and tag backs, and you'd like to get them decorated up, but where do you start? Well, I have some ideas for you. Here is a list. These are 4 things, certainly not an exhaustive list, but to get you started in decorating the backs of your tags and cards, you can go through this list, and we're going to go through lots of examples of all of these actions. You can stamp something, you can glue something, you can draw something, or you can stencil something. These are all very easy ways to unite the front and the back of your cards and your tags, and to give you a really special canvas upon which to write your journal entries. So let's start with stamping something. What tags are we going to stamp on? Well, it will not surprise you to see that I have these ready to stamp. I love this card. I think this was one of the stack and whack cards that I did a few months ago. That technique, and I'll link it below in case you haven't seen it. That sparked a lot of interest, and it does create a really interesting background that is a nice showcase for things on the front. Had I done anything to the back of that tag? I had not. Well, that ends today, doesn't it? Let's look at what might inspire us here. I have the lace up here. I have this kind of old-fashioned text as the background, but the real focal point is this little Victorian piano stool. So I thought, gosh, there really has to be sort of a Victorian feel to whatever I put on the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it and get out my Distress ink materials. And then I'm just going to do a little stamping. And I mean very little stamping, because I want to leave as much room as possible for the actual writing. I have not a lot, but I have a few of these sets of these border stamps. And this is one that's right here on the end. I'll just grab that because it's handy. Do you have any stamps like this? They're made for, putting on the border of a card, a page edge. They're super, super handy. And these just have sort of a Victorian feel. I'm pulling this one out just because it's on the end of the acetate holder. So let me get this on a acrylic block. And I could do a lot in terms of decorating here, but I don't really want to do too much because I want to get on to the next project. But it just looks incomplete, doesn't it? If I go to write something, a special memory, or, maybe some thoughts about a Victorian era book I've read, who knows what I can put on there. But it's definitely thematic. It's definitely thematic. I wouldn't put, a stamp of a circus clown or something on the back here. But I'm just going to put this little border stamp here. Look how that dresses things up. It could use a little bit more. I use this stamp a lot on the backs of my tags, and I will show you why. It's so eclectic. It goes with almost everything. It's just a little flourish. It's just a little, just a little squiggly thing. And if you're lucky enough to have any kind of stamp like that in your collection, use it a lot because it just gives a nice little swish, a little bit of energy to the bottom of a tag. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna put one at the top too. I don't want to go overboard, but in Victorian times they did kind of go overboard with their decorating, didn't they? There we go. I don't want to put another border stamp here because that would limit things too much. And actually I can write over these things, but there's plenty of room for writing some nice thoughts there with whatever this tag ends up being. So this is now complete. Let's stamp something else. What did I have sitting out here to stamp? Oh, it was this one. It was sitting right here. So this is a cute little journal card. And honestly, I don't even remember when I made this, but it needs to have something on the back. It just looks a little blank, doesn't it? There's some interesting motifs here. We've got the bird. I could put another bird on the back. I've got this, this flower. That's a hand-stamped and colored-in flower that I cut out. But I'm looking at these trees. I'm always drawn to trees. And I thought, okay, I'm going to repeat the tree theme. And I have this little stamp. For both that little flourish in these trees, you can draw these as well. And we're going to, get to some other drawing things. Because this is sort of horizontal, I'm going to treat this horizontally. And, I guess I'll stick with this brown. This is a very, very handy stamp, a thrift store find. I don't want to take up too much space. But I've populated the corner there. Now it's still kind of blank, but you want it to be mostly blank because you want your room for writing. But that just gives, if you imagine this filled with handwriting about, some sort of, nature memory that you have, or whatever you're writing about. Imagine your handwriting with that little simple stamp and how much more cohesive this whole piece is. So that's stamping. What's next on our list? Oh, glue something. We can do that, can't we? Yes, we can. What do you think we should glue? I've got a little stack of things over here that I prepped. Here is, my Post-it note to remember what stack that goes in. I made these the other day. I can't remember if I made this one on camera or not. I may have done this after I turned the camera off, but this is the little punched split circle motif. that is so cute, but it just really kind of begs to have something on the back, doesn't it? So all I'm going to do is use a piece of the same paper that I use. This is just a little leftover scrap. And because it's two-sided paper, that makes it really versatile. And I'm just going to punch some partial circles here. Some of them kind of small. And let's start with 3 and see if we need more. And I'm just going to glue some of those along the edge. All these mini projects, my space is getting filled up quickly. I'm going to have maybe the polka dot side showing. And maybe I'll put that down here. They can go anywhere you fancy. I'll have the little plaid side. Maybe I'm going to put on this side. And 3 elements is almost always a good idea. 5 might be a little bit of gilding the lily, but an odd number is always nice. There we go. Imagine your handwriting in there. You know, this obviously, this is not complete. It's not complete until you write in it, or somebody that you give your journal to writes into it. But imagine the handwriting in there, and it's all going to look together. It's going to look like it really ties together. So there we've glued something. What if we wish to glue something else? Here's a little tag I had in my stash. Blank as could be on the back, but it's sweet, isn't it? And it just seems like it needs something on the back. You know, the front is demure and sweet and kind of quiet and shy. But I was looking at this and I thought, what could I put to the back that would make the whole thing seem kind of cohesive? And I noticed this, you know, it's very much in the background, but this music paper I have a lot of. So I thought, why don't I put a little piece of that on the back, and maybe just a little stripe of music page. And I didn't really want to cut out a whole circle again. Oh, there are a lot of notes on this one. Let's get some of that stuff. And the interesting typography that is here. I'm going to turn on an extra light. Things are looking a little dark. That might help. Hope that doesn't create more shadows, but it just looked a little dark to me. I struggle with lighting all the time. I think everybody who's on YouTube struggles with lighting. Anyway, because this is sort of a small tag, I don't want to dominate too much on this writing space, but I just want to sweeten it up. I want to remind myself, if I write on this, that, you know, I was thinking holistically about the whole thing. Putting in some effort, I guess, on the back of this tag. It's kind of like when I made more cards, I would always try to put some sort of decoration on the inside of the card or on the envelope. And that just always made everything seem really complete to me. I'm going to come way over to the edge here. Whoops, that's not up straight up and down, is it? There we go. And just a little hand trimming. You know, sometimes I'm really good about decorating, or especially if it's just stamping or something on the back of a tag or card. And then other times I just kind of forget about it. So I'm trying to remember more, because it is certainly convenient to have a card when you're going to stick it in, pop it in a journal, to have it be ready front and back. Oh, doesn't that, is so much more inviting. If you pull this out of a pocket, I think I'm just going to write a sweet thought that I have. Isn't it nice to write it on this and be inspired a little bit by that music? All right, there is gluing something. Let's glue something else. This is not a tag. This is just a little, you know, like a little notebook, a little folded piece of envelope is all it is. Just a little something to tuck into a pocket. And I pulled this out of a title out of a book for some reason. I was thinking it might be kind of nice to dress up the inside of this with a little bit of embellishment. There's a little bit of embellishment that came from that. I think this was a jelly plate envelope, jelly plate printed envelope. So the inking always goes a long way. If you're new to junk journaling, you might not be familiar with this, but this is one of the basic supplies everybody has. Distress ink, it's specially formulated for, you know, this kind of use. It's not great for stamping. It's okay if you don't want a real crisp look. But this color is called Vintage Photo. I have several colors I use, but Vintage Photo is the one that I think is universally beloved in junk journal land, and it's from Ranger and the Tim Holtz collection. Looks like I inked the front, but I didn't ink the back. You can see that's part of an envelope that I didn't want to toss out. Now, what might be nice for gluing on the inside of this little beastie? I had a few more scraps that kind of went with this gel plate, so that could work. And then I also had this little piece of ribbon. It's really flat. It's not bulky. I think maybe I just feel sort of compelled to give that a try. So let me ink. I mean, this is literally something I pulled out of the trash. When I was pulling this project together, I thought, oh, I think I have some scraps of that I haven't taken to the outside bin yet. So sure enough, do you ever pull things out of your trash to craft with? When I very first started junk journaling, it was during those bad lockdown months of the pandemic in 2020, and we were home all the time, and I started looking in my recycle bin, and I found food packaging and Amazon packaging and lots of stuff that I could start turning into a craft project. And thus was born my junk journal journey, hunting in the trash bin. No gross trash, of course. Just evening up that edge. This certainly could stand just like it is, but I kind of wanted to do this little ribbon. And it is so nice and flat. Let's see if we can glue that on. I bet we'll be successful. I'm going to switch to my Fabrifix glue, although this particular bottle is from a shipment where it's called 3-in-1. It's the same thing by the Beacon Company. They have one glue formula that for some reason, nobody knows why, they market under 3 different names. It can have to do with their distribution channels, who knows. It's also known as Fabrifix, which is how it's most generically known. Fabrifix, Fabri-Tac, and 3-in-1. Same thing. And I've gotten it underneath or under all of those names at the same store or from the same online source. So rhyme or reason is not playing a part here. At least not that I know of. They probably have some explanation. I shouldn't question the logic of their marketing or their distribution department. That's none of my business. I just want to get my glue. Anyway, let's just get this little... The reason that this is a very handy glue to have in junk journaling is that it does hold fabric down nicely. Oh yeah, that's cute. That's cute. That's so much more interesting than its little blank look before, giving us a blank look. It looks like it was meant to be there. Going that little tab down. That is a cute little notebook. Yes, that's a nice use of this little envelope that otherwise would have been thrown away because it was just a little practice thing. So that'll be fun to use. So much better. So much better. Got a little raggedy paper up there. I'm going to leave it. Okay, so what's next on our list? We have stamped things. We have glued things. Let's draw something. Should we do that? Do not be intimidated by this, friends. Here is a cute little journal card that I made using some of our little chickens that we made the wings and the tails out of stamped and colored flowers. We just cut some of the petals apart and use those for the wings. I will link this if you missed that, and if you're interested in how we made this. These are sort of like the Bremerton musician animals going up, aren't they? And I thought this was adorable. This was again on the back of a gel printed envelope where I was just experimenting with different colors and a craft that is new to me, an art that is new to me. What does the back look like? Well, isn't that boring? Those little chickens don't live a boring life. They certainly don't. Let's bring some of their whimsy to the back. I really want to repeat these. I mean, I could do with just sort of a neutral kind of a textury stenciling or something, and that would be okay too. But to demonstrate drawing things, let's do this. I got out, I did these originals with a little bit of watercolor, but I think it would be just as easy to do, and sticking with our drawing theme, to put a little portion of a bird just using colored pencil. So because we don't want him taking up too much space here, I'm just gonna draw a little bit of a bird here in the corner. I'm gonna fill him in with colored pencil. I might not need any of these flower petals, but we'll see. Now it looks like I've got a little bit of a ridge in there, which is gonna affect the smoothness of this image, but I'm just gonna keep on going, because once it's done, it's going to be just fine. Not used to using colored pencils very often either, so my feel for this is not great. But I thought it might be a little less messy than getting out the watercolors again. I guess you'd think I was 10 here or something. There we go. That's going to have to do. I like to outline my little whimsical creatures with a little bit of black ink. So I've got a Sharpie here. And I like to do a little bit of a double line to add to the whimsicalness of the whole thing. And this little fella or gal, I'm having look up here a little bit. So we'll draw in that little beak. And let's outline that beak. And let's put in an eye. I kind of like that closed eye here, there, and it prevents us from having to deal with the eyeball. So let's do this little demure little closed eye here with those little eyelashes. And it looks like I could accommodate a bit of a wing there. So why don't, let's see, this one's nice and colorful. Why don't I cut out this? And part of it is going to be coming off, but we're going to be okay with that. Yep, I think it needs the I think it needs the wings. I had, when I did this this project with these little birds, I had a lot of these punched and colored, or stamped and colored flowers. And that would have, when I had all of those out, that would have been a good time to go ahead and complete the back of this card. Did not do so, but that's okay. I'm doing it now. When you come in with an image on the back of a card, it really is nice sometimes to just have a partial one. Like if you have a butterfly stamp, just, you know, having part of the butterfly looking in is super cute. There we go. And there's that little bird looking pretty cute. It'd be nice if there was another one up here. I think I'm going to leave it for now, though, because, again, I don't want to get carried away with decorating the backs. You know, you don't want to make the back of your card be about all your embellishments. You want the embellishments to just enhance what you're doing. You know what I think I do want, though? Oh, I have to say, I had not planned to do this, but I think I'm just going to do I'm going to do a couple of musical notes there, and I'm going to be inspired by my little piece of music paper here, because it's been a while since I have drawn any musical notes. So this is our drawing segment here. We can draw a few little notes. Make this one be a sharp. And let's do another one here. There we go. I just was of a mind to indicate some music there, and that doesn't take up a whole lot more space. So there we have our front, our little Brementown musician chicks, and we're singing on the back. Okay, so that's that drawing. Here's one other drawing that I wanted to do. This was a cute little card. I think I did this when I was being inspired by seed packets. I can make a link to that also if you like. This was left over from that project. And this is not an actual envelope. I did make some seed packet full envelopes that that I've used a lot in journals, particularly in my garden journal. This one is just a little card as a part of a napkin I decoupaged there. But I was looking at this and I thought, if I wanted to embellish the back of this guy, what would inspire me? Well, we've got leaves here. There's some leaves up here in this napkin. I thought, oh, those are easy to draw. Why don't we draw? Let's do some drawing. And I got out this green marker, and here is a brown pencil. And I'm just gonna, I could go the whole border, but we kind of did the border thing. I just think I just want to have a little frond coming in here from the bottom. And you know, this is not great artwork, folks. This is just something that's just sort of fun. And anybody who has the ability to pick up a pencil and who can grab for a marker can do this. You don't have to go to art school to do this, just like you didn't have to go to the Cordon Bleu to make, you know, dinner for your family. Everybody can do this sort of thing. There we go. If you know what you want to write and you know that you want to, you know, really cram a lot into a small space, you know, just do one, or just do a tiny, you know, just part of one leaf coming up. It still is going to dress up the back of your tag. And I chose this marker just because it would be a little bit faster to do for purposes of the video. It might be a little clumsy in its execution, but you can get the idea there. And let's see, is this dry? I guess that dried pretty quickly. I'll go back in with my brown and put some center veins down there. There we go. This is all ready now to tuck into my file here and be ready when I'm selecting things to put into a journal. This can go in the back. So that, yeah, so those are a couple of ideas for drawing on the back of a tag or a card. Let's look at our last option, stencil something. This is the fast and easy part, my friends. Let me put these little flowers away so we don't lose them. There we go. So let's stencil something. Here is one of my kooky little birds. Many of you have seen the kooky little birds video. These are little birds that you just make from folding a bunch paper circle, and I made quite a few of these that I've enjoyed using. But this is one that had nothing on the back other than, you know, just this little bit of fold over tag. And realized I hadn't inked the front very well either. If I were to make this over, I would make the leg bending the other way. I am well aware that I made the knee bending the wrong way, so don't take this as anatomically or ornithologically correct. But I looked at this and I thought, wow, I don't want to put a whole nother bird on the back to carry that theme to the back, because I really want that guy to be the star of the show. But I had done, you know, a fair amount just to kind of fill the space and also to kind of evoke a little bit of bird seed. I had put lots of these like little dot stamps, and I thought, oh, you know what? Why don't I use the Punchinella? I am not an expert at this stuff. In fact, if you're a regular watcher, you will know I only learned like a couple of weeks ago what this stuff even was. It's a sheet of acetate. It makes a fantastic stencil, but the people, the manufacturers of stencils will punch out these tiny little holes, not stencils, the manufacturers of sequins use this acetate, punch out the sequins. This is the waste. And so I love the idea of using this. We have all these little dots that are floating on this front. I used a tulle ribbon up here with the little dots. Why not use the Punchinella as just a stencil? And this is the fastest and easiest thing of all. Here we go. And you can write right over it. Put a little bit up here too. And doesn't that jazz that up? It's perfectly complete now, ready for you to write on the back. You or me. Which one of us will be doing it? I don't know. Let's wrap up with one more stencil. This is a little watercolor mushroom that I was just practicing doing watercolor on when I was doing my Game of Shrooms journal I guess Game of Shrooms was only a week ago from the time I filmed this. I looked at this and I thought, wow, how could I dress up this back? Because, again, very blank. And it's a very simple sort of card, so I didn't want anything too jazzy. I could have gone in with the Punchinella. I could have done that. But I thought, because I have the dots on this mushroom cap, but I also have these sort of radiating lines from the gills, the underside of the mushroom. I thought, what do I have stencil-wise that will sort of repeat that notion for me? And I very easily found a couple of stencils in my stash that had this sort of sunburst thing. And now I can't quite decide which one I want to use. I think, either one would be fine, but I think I'm going to use this kind of swirly one. So I'm going to bring my drop sheet here again, my old telephone book page. And let's see. Yeah, I don't want to go too far out because, again, this is journaling space. Stencils are nice, though, because you can, it's very, very easy just to write on top of them. So let me just stencil this a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll do a little bit at the top. Oh, how much did I get through there? A little bit. I'm going to have to match that up. And I can't really see to match it up, so guess what? I'm not going to worry about it. There we go. Now we'll just ink around the edges. And that does kind of have a look of the gills of that mushroom, doesn't it? Anyway, these are just some simple ways that you can really complete your card and get it ready to write in by just using these simple little guides. There may be lots of other things. There'd be mixed media, there's, could be tons of other ways that you jazz up the back of your cards and your tags. But, I should just add in here, just do something. It really makes for a really nice and complete journaling experience when you've put a little something on the back. And so, it's a little surprise. If you're giving your journal away and people turn it over, it does indicate to them that this is a surface to be used, because sometimes people don't really know what to do with the tags. So if you have something on the back, you go, oh yeah, I'm kind of supposed to do something with that. So there you go. I hope this gets you started decorating the backs of your journals or your journal tags and your cards, and have fun. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.